was right to persevere, even when the odds against success seemed high. But it is now clear to me that it is in the best interests of the country for a new Prime Minister to lead that effort. So I am today announcing that I will resign as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party on Friday the 7th of June, so that a successor can be chosen.
So the worst Prime Minister in British history, who has literally clung on to power by her fingertips for the past 6 months, is set to resign as Tory party leader on Friday the 7th of June in the wake of the disaster that were the EU elections, which will mark the start for a 6-week-long Tory leadership contest with the objective of whittling down a wide field of 11 candidates to just 2, from whom the 100,000 or so Tory party members will vote to choose to become the next Tory leader and thus British Prime Minister, set to take office late July as Britain counts down to the 31st of October 2019 deadline. A deadline that most candidates have already declared that they will seek to extend as a Remainer Parliament continues to do its utmost to subvert Brexit by taking a no deal Brexit off the table, and thus wasted the last 3 years instead of just declaring independence, as I concluded several years ago is what Britain should do to win the Brexit War. First, a reminder of the disaster that was the 23rd of May EU elections for Britain's ruling establishment, that was delivered a very bloody nose, even worse than the mainstream establishment press had been expecting, that the Remain parties will do far better than the Leave parties, with the Brexit party typically expected to win 24 seats, i.e. similar to that of UKIP total in 2014. Instead, we saw a Brexit party victory. The Brexit party stormed the elections by winning the most seats by ending the night on 29, near twice the total of their nearest rival, and is a harbinger of what to expect at a future general election, where the Tories would pay a very heavy price. As for Labour, well, the party suffered a humiliating defeat by losing 10 seats to end the night on just 10, and the Conservatives were all but destroyed. Whilst Labour suffered a bloodbath, the Tories were all but destroyed, losing 15 seats to end the night on just 4, the worst collapse in the Tory party's vote in history since they were founded in 1832, whilst the Green Party finally broke out of the fringe and into the mainstream, as climate change fears are clearly gathering momentum amongst the electorate, as the Greens gained 5 seats to end the night on 7. Then there was UKIP, that effectively died, following its leader's embrace of the right-wing nutjob Tommy Robinson, that all but killed the party off, losing all of its 24 seats to end the night on 0. And as for Change UK, well, Chuka Umunna and Anna Soubry's Change UK was stillborn, and since which time they've quit the party. So, well, Chuka has anyway. And remember that this analysis was first made available to patrons who support my work. So for immediate first access to all of my analysis and trend forecasts, then do consider becoming a patron by supporting my work for just $3 per month. Now we take a look at the next Tory leader's Betfair betting markets. Firstly, remember, when betting you are gambling. So bear that in mind when placing bets, and where the Tory leadership race is concerned, with a dozen candidates throwing their hats in the ring, then there still remains a wide field as we count down to the final 2, though most of whom are of course just positioning themselves for a seat at a future cabinet table, rather than having any real hopes of becoming the next Tory leader and PM. My first opening shot at who could be the next Tory leader and thus PM was on the 18th of November 2018. The Betfair market was offering the following odds for prospective contenders at the time. where the conclusion of my analysis was to expect either Jacob Rees-Mogg or Boris Johnson as the most probable successors from a fairly evenly spread field, with the odds further narrowing in favour of the top three candidates by the time of my December 12th analysis, at which point I concluded Boris Johnson was the most probable likely to win a leadership contest whenever the Tory party was finally able to pry Theresa May's hands in the door of number 10, and thus the betting markets were continuing to offer excellent odds of 5+. That converts into a £400 win for every £100 bet plus stake. Maybe not as good as with Trump, but definitely worth a gamble, and which has remained my position since, as December turned into January and so on all the way to the end of May. Theresa May, Britain's worst Prime Minister ever, inflicting huge damage to the nation that she professes to love.
I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
Finally gets the message following the dreadful EU election results and announces that she will be stepping down as Tory leader and leaving office around the 22nd of July. The betting market odds further narrowed in Boris Johnson's favour when I last looked at the Betfair market on the 27th of May 2019. By then Boris Johnson was the clear leader in what was still a 3-horse race, where now a £100 bet would get you a potential £198 profit, whilst now the mainstream media mantra had shifted from Boris Johnson having no chance to that the Tories never elect the favourite to become their next leader, which has largely been the mantra since. And that brings us to the present. These are the latest Betfair prices for the Tory leadership contest as of the 6th of June 2019. The betting markets have finally woken up to the fact that Boris Johnson is the most probable person to win the Tory leadership contest, and thus the odds are further significantly narrowed over a short space of time, with today a £100 bet would convert into an £84 profit. Furthermore, all those who took my betting market conclusion as of the 12th of December 2018 and since will be sitting on a huge open profit, which if they choose to could cash in ahead of the final outcome. And as it becomes more and more obvious to most that Boris Johnson looks set to win the Tory leadership contest, then the odds on Boris Johnson should keep narrowing. After all, what's the risk when it becomes a near certainty? Just remember, we are gambling, and while so far Boris Johnson has managed to surprise even me by keeping his gob shut, by not putting his foot in his mouth, still with 6 weeks to go there are plenty of opportunities for Boris Johnson to run his mouth by saying the wrong thing. That implies to expect market volatility, i.e. the Betfair Boris Johnson price could range anywhere between 1.4 and 3 over the next 6 weeks. So you will likely get more opportunities to bet at a better price on who I concluded some 6 months ago will be the next Tory leader. The bottom line is that Boris Johnson had 3 years to learn lessons from his shambolic campaign to succeed David Cameron in 2016 that ended with Michael Gove stabbing him in the back, which means regardless of clueless mainstream press utterances over the coming weeks, Boris Johnson is the most probable next leader of the Tory party, as he has promised that deal or no deal the UK will leave the EU on the 31st of October 2019. Anyway, at this point in time it does not really matter if he is actually able to achieve his promise or not, as it is not relevant to this bet. And remember, this analysis was first made available to patrons who support my work, so for immediate first access to all of my analysis and trend forecasts, then do consider becoming a patron by supporting my work for just $3 per month. And also remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel for new videos.